Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I've got an update for you all on the status of our fight against over-the-air television encryption. In case you're new to this topic, the nation's broadcasters are trying to lock down their signals so that you can't watch TV in a flexible manner off of an antenna for free. They'd rather have you subscribe to services where they can charge you big-time retransmission fees. And we collectively have been fighting this in the FCC's docket on this topic for the last 2 years or so. And all of this effort culminated with a visit to the FCC that Tyler the Antenna Man and I did back in August, where we brought your concerns directly to them. And you can watch videos where we both outline the presentations that we made to the FCC's Media Bureau. And a few weeks ago, the FCC issued a draft order where they really heard what we had to say pretty loud and clear, and they included a lot of what all of us have brought to them in that order. And the broadcast industry has a lot to answer as this process continues. And it's good to see the FCC really taking time to think about all of these important questions that we have raised. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what comes next, what you should be thinking about and planning for, because we will need to keep filing some things on the docket to make sure that our voices are heard. Now, before we jump into this topic, though, I do want to let you know that this video is being brought to you by all of you. That includes everyone who watches and subscribes to this channel on a regular basis. It also includes those of you who have contributed to the channel, either through my donor box page at Lon.TV/support, through the YouTube membership program, through Floatplane, or the Patreon that I've got set up. Additionally, I want to thank all of you who have clicked on the super thanks every once in a while. And of course, we've got the merch store down in the shelf there, so you can pick up a coffee mug or something like that as well. All of that helps keep the lights on around here. So let's dive into this topic now. And for the most part, what this meeting did is it approved what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Nothing major is changing at the moment. Basically, what the FCC has done is indicated their desire to end the simulcasting requirement, which means that if some station is broadcasting ATSC 3.0 signals, they would no longer have to simulcast that on 1.0. That is not yet the law of the land, but they're asking the public and the broadcasters if that's something everyone would be okay with. The Commission is indicating in the filing that their desire is to end the simulcast requirement. I personally don't think many stations will take them up on it because the adoption rate for ATSC 3 tuners is so low, but who knows? And that was one of the big things that they were asking. It was also good to hear that 2 of the 3 FCC commissioners were concerned about what they're hearing from the public. Have a listen.
While next-gen television has already demonstrated its potential, it has also surfaced new technological, marketplace, and regulatory challenges. This item does not avoid those challenges, it addresses them directly. As we move forward, we must stay focused on advancing the public interest in both the specific details and the broader regulatory picture.
There are additional thorny questions that the Commission is going to have to address. Consumers are clearly concerned about the use of encryption technologies, also referred to as digital rights management. This impacts both whether audiences will be able to continue to enjoy free over-the-air television as they do today, and the impact of privately established standards on the equipment market. Technology should not be a bottleneck to innovation.
And I should note that the vote that those commissioners took was unanimous, so all 3 of them, the 2 Republicans and the Democrat, all voted in favor of this order to get the process moving along a little bit further. But for the most part, this order basically opens up another public comment round, and there are some key questions that the Commission wants answers to. The big one, of course, is whether or not how they are currently implementing DRM is even legal. There was some pointed questions in the document that we covered last time when we talked about this. What they said in their filing here is that the Commission, the FCC, anticipated that free over-the-air programming would be intended to be received by all members of the public and would not require a contractual agreement between the broadcasters and the viewers. And they seek comment on whether the current 3.0 encryption regime, as administered by the A3SA and implemented by broadcasters, constitutes broadcasting within the meaning of the Communications Act. It's a very tough question for the broadcasters to answer, and I'm very eager to hear what they plan to say when the comment period opens on this one. Additionally, the Commission wants to know, should the FCC regulate DRM or should the A3SA, a private industry organization, do it? The broadcasters, of course, want the A3SA to be regulating it, but the FCC may have other ideas. The FCC is also asking, do we need privacy rules for ATSC 3? Should they adopt DVR and recording rules in regulation as opposed to the industry just putting out some rules that they could change any time? And there was some talk in this docket about fair use, things that we don't typically see in FCC documentation. They are contemplating here, which is great because so much of what we have brought to them is in this document, like we talked about a few weeks ago. There's also questions on whether or not they should eliminate the simulcast rule. Should the FCC mandate 3.0 receivers on televisions? Should taxpayers fund a tuner program to subsidize tuner adoption? And should they allow MPEG-4 on 1.0 broadcasts? Now, a lot of these questions are for the industry, but there's no reason why we can't answer them as well. And so what's going to happen here is when this comment period opens, we will have the opportunity once again to start filing things on the docket. Now, there are going to be two components to the comment period. One is going to start 60 days from the publication in the Federal Register of this notice. It hasn't been published yet, and the government shutdown might be delaying things, but once that gets published, that's when the clock starts ticking. So initially, you can comment for 60 days, and then there is a reply period that runs for another 30 days. So you have the opportunity to rebut what others may have said on the docket. So where do we come in here? Well, the most important thing you can do is answer the questions and relate your personal experiences. One of the things that I suggested we think about doing in this next round is submitting photos of us next to our TVs, not playing back the content that we are trying to play back. And of course, currently on ATSC 1.0, I can watch TV with my HD Home Run Gateway tuner on any device in my home with a screen. On ATSC 3.0, if the channel is encrypted, this is what I get. It is a regression, and this is something the Commission was quite interested in when we presented to them back in August. Now, another thing, though, I would think would be important to the Commission is for us to rebut anything that the industry is saying that is not true. And let me give you an example of a rebuttal that I just made the other day on LinkedIn. Now, although this just happened on LinkedIn, I do believe it's important to point out falsehoods wherever you see them. And in this instance here, Mark Aiken, who's an executive with Sinclair and one of the people who's been pushing very hard for the encryption of the public airwaves, put up this fact sheet in response to somebody else who was favoring a competing technology called 5G television. And in the post he was responding to, the initial poster was indicating that ATSC 3 doesn't work on phones. It largely doesn't work on phones, but Aiken here says something different. He says that it works on devices today, including feature phones, smartphones, tablets, USB-C dongles, gateways, TVs, and set-top boxes. But everything he's saying here is categorically false. There is not a phone on the market that you can just pull out and tune into ATSC 3 signals. There are not multiple USB-C dongles that he's talking about here in his post. There is one from a company called ADTH, and it only works with like 1 or 2 set-top boxes and TVs on the market. Everything else I plugged it into did not work, and other reviewers had similar experiences with that device. But the big lie here is about gateway devices, because there is not a single gateway device outside of a lab that can play back DRM content and put it out on your network like current gateway boxes can do with the ATSC 1.0 standard. He even goes as far to reference Silicon Dust, the makers of HD Home Run, as a manufacturer of one of these compatible devices, yet Aiken's company, Sinclair, Pearl TV, and the A3SA have been shutting that company out of DRM decryption. It's gotten so bad that the president of Silicon Dust had to go to the FCC to tell them what was going on with all of this DRM nonsense. So what I did here in a rebuttal to a LinkedIn post was I pointed out the falsehood. I took a picture of my phone, which was unable to play back a channel on my encrypted lineup, and put it up on the post, and also put it into a few replies that were also out there. And this is why it's so important that whenever they say something that's not true, whether it's on the docket or in a place where you can reply publicly, it's important to respond with the truth because people need to see that this stuff they're putting out there is just outright false. I don't know if he knows that he's lying. Maybe he believes it's true because somebody told him it was true, but whatever the reason here is, consumers are not able to do things that the industry says we can, and that's why we've got to point this stuff out. Now, I did file another rebuttal on a different topic on the official docket, and I did this after Sinclair and Pearl TV met with the FCC to request that they mandate the inclusion of ATSC3 tuners on new televisions. This was in direct contradiction to the position these organizations took just a couple of years ago when they urged the FCC to stay out of the mandate game here. And I pointed that out in my response, and I also used that opportunity to remind the Commission that the reason why people are not adopting ATSC3 hardware is that the DRM makes it very difficult to manufacture affordable tuners, and that many are just not getting into the market because it is too cumbersome to do so due to the DRM. And so this is the kind of stuff that we need to be mindful of now as we're getting into the home stretch of this effort. Now, I'm setting up an email list, which you can find at Lon.TV/rapid response. If you put your email in here, I'm going to keep an eye on the docket, and when I see them filing falsehoods, I'm going to let you know about it so that you can go and post some examples of what your consumer experience is versus what they are saying. And a great example, I think, is what I just showed you with that LinkedIn post where you've got somebody from the industry saying, hey, our stuff works on phones, when I've got the receipts that shows it does not. So that's something to sign up for, and we'll keep an eye on things as the docket gets going. You can head over to Lon.TV/FCC instructions to learn how to post on the docket when the time comes, and I will let you all know when the stuff gets published in the registers so that we can all get moving once again on this. I will also make a video, a quick one, demonstrating how to file on the docket in case you're having trouble or prefer to see it in a step-by-step video. So that will do it for this one, but this is what is currently happening with our effort here. Again, this vote just kind of moved things along. There wasn't a lot new since we talked about that draft filing from a few weeks ago, but things are going to start picking up again, and this new chairman of the FCC, rightfully so, is trying to move things along a lot quicker in this agency. I think that's very good. So we got to stay on our toes, though, because he's going to want to move this along quickly, and we need to be getting our responses and our opinions to the Commission in a very timely manner once that publication hits the Federal Register. So sign up for that email list, and I will keep you all posted as things keep moving along here. And until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.